some reason, I feel completely unmotivated right now. And I felt this way for a while now, and I've made a couple other videos about it generally, but I think the overarching feeling is I just don't want to contribute to the world as it is right now. I made a song about this too. I don't want to have the cars. I don't want to have the houses. I don't want to have you know, I don't want to drive on these endless paved roads, these communities made for cars, and I don't want to build that billion-dollar business where I get a bunch of people from poor middle class and developing communities and other countries to pay them significantly less, that I get a bunch of profit and be some CEO. I just don't want to live out the version of success that I believe everyone in America has been. I want to make sure my camera's straight. That everyone in America has been fed pretty much all of our lives. And I think that for me, especially growing up in a family in like situation where I was always like super motivated. I was doing all these activities and extracurricular in school, out of school, and achieved, got into a scholarship for college and got into a great law school before I dropped out. Um, I am now at this place where I'm just like, I have the plan. I'm living in my parents' place right now, and I have the plan for moving out next week. I'm moving to a new city, and I just spoke with my parents earlier today about like my plans, like what I'm doing and where I'm going, and they were happy for me, and they felt good, and I feel good too. But at the same time, I'm like, I feel like I'm just like walking into an abyss in a way. I feel like there used to be a certain vigor or zeal that I had, where now it's just been replaced with just the doom and gloom of the entire world, honestly. Um, and I don't know if that's because I'm just more aware of things. I think that's part of it. Like I'm more aware of just like because of the David Icke books that I've been reading, and then just seeing all the manipulation and the conspiracies and the secret societies and the I mean, I mean, even if you don't even go as deep as all that, like it's just obvious that we're living in a culture and world that's a global plantation, where everybody's a slave and you have to do this and you have to work, and there's nowhere on the earth where you can go where there's not a government ruling over you, um, and where you can be truly free. Where you can live by your own rules. And I think I was reading something online today. I think it was related to how you have the celebrities that do like I don't want to make the symbol, but they do like this symbol like over their eye, and you know, I think it was like a website that had that image, and then it was just talking about a whole bunch of things. But I think one of them was like, you're fed, everybody's kind of fed this idea of like it's always security, right? It's always like, people can't survive on their own. We need to provide security. That's why we need things like a government, and that's why we need things like, you know, um, having our rights taken away for the greater good, because we need security, right? It's like they're always using fear to kind of trap us into this slavery. And I think that, it's like the scene in The Wizard of Oz where it's like you pull back the curtain and you realize like it's just this little man like controlling this like huge operation that, you're just tired of playing and just tired of playing the game. It's just not appealing, I think. Part of what inspires me now is just being authentic, but I think that's like saying what inspires a slave is to be free. Like that's just the baseline. Like a slave should have never been a slave in the first place. Um, and that's part of like why I left law school too. It was just like it's like that Audre Lorde quote, and I want to make probably a full video about this, but the Audre Lorde quote that says, you can't dismantle the master's house with the master's tools. The best you can do is temporarily beat him at his own game. Um, and that was so true. It's like no matter what I would do, no matter if I freed everybody in jail, no matter if I, you know, got all the cases that were morally right run, and stopped all this bad stuff happening. At the end of the day, it's still a legal system. At the end of the day, the United States still exists, and the UK still exists, and Israel still exists, and all these other things still exist. um, and there's just you know that feeling that yeah, you just don't want to build that anymore. And it's like, as slaves, we're all forced to build that. We're all forced to contribute to that no matter what, because we have the dollars in our pockets, right? I have this fucking bullshit ass monopoly fucking green money with old presidents and old slaves in my wallet. And you know um, and then I have to use the internet that is not decentralized, but it's owned by a certain power. And then you go on the TV and it's all owned by one person, and then you go on the websites that are most visited, like YouTube or Google, and you know all these other sites like social media. I'm pretty much off of now, except for like YouTube and Reddit. But it's like all controlled by the same entity. And now TikTok's like, I'll view TikTok sometimes, and even that's now, they have the September 13th, 2025, I think, update to their community guidelines, where they're basically shutting down all speech, and AI and all this other stuff. So it just, I've seen a lot of people out here that are just like still like really into their careers and stuff. And I'm just like, it's kind of like that part in a war. No, I don't want to say a war. It's kind of like, I just feel like I've seen this in movies or something, where it's like there's a whole bunch of fighting going on. There's death and destruction. And then there's like this period of silence where like it all stops, and everybody kind of just like looks around and sees like all the dead bodies and all the destruction done, all the damage done to the world, all the plants dying, all the animals that were killed, all the shit that we're doing that's just tearing everything apart. And it's just this gray, bleak, you know cloudy. It's like even that view in that scene in the Matrix, right, where he's like, this is the real world, Neo. And he shows, you know Morpheus shows Neo, and it's like this disgusting, place that's you know all torn up. And that's how it feels right now. And it just feels silent, and it feels like I'm looking at that world. And it's like, how do you live in that world? How do you survive in that world? How do you become motivated in that world? Because the only way that I see it, and I get goosebumps when I say this, is that we collectively walk away. It's like the ones who walk away from Omelas by Ursula K. Le Guin. It's, we have to put the tools down. We have to stop feeding it, because the feeding it is killing us and killing everybody and causing more death and destruction. And I can move to a new city. I can say that, oh, I want to do like film. I want to like tell stories and do documentaries. And I was even talking to people in my Uber, and she was like, because we had similar backgrounds. It's like, I used to do graphic design and social media for companies. She did that. She does that too right now for a corporate. She's like, it just drains all of the creativity out of it. And I was like, yeah, I definitely understand that. And she was like, oh yeah, like I just want to do like documentary style films, and all these other things. And then this other girl in the Uber, it was a great group of three girls, and I really enjoyed talking to them. Another one was like, she was building, like, or she was like making music. She had YouTube and whatever outside of like her job. And I just think like, damn, like this is such a, it's sad, but I think it's also a transition period that we're in, where I feel like there has to be a finale. Like there has to be the, okay, we see all the death and destruction. We see the smoke coming up, the radiation, the ashes, the rubble. And I think we have to come together now and say, no, like, you see somebody picking up a brick to start building back what was there before. And you're like, no, like, we're not going back. We're not going back. We can't do this anymore, we can't do this. This whole AI race, this whole race to autonomy and robots and, you know, world domination and control by a single entity and centralized power, you know, global currency, digital currency, where, you know, they can shut you off at any moment and cash will be gone. It's slavery. I mean, just like Frederick Douglass said, what to the slave is the 4th of July. To me, I feel, what is the slave to the plantation? Like, what are a slave's dreams to the plantation? You know, does the slave wake up every day and say, hey, you know what, today I'm going to work a little harder, because maybe one day my master will say, you know, you've worked hard enough. Now that you're in your old age, or even if I'm young, now that you've achieved this, you can now become a master yourself. You can own your own slaves. And you're just like, wait, like I never wanted to do any of that. I never wanted to play this game from the beginning. I never chose to participate. You never asked me if I wanted to play by the same rules you play by. I mean, just think about that. I mean, everybody, all the billions of people in the world, it's like how many people are living under regimes and structures where they were never even asked if they wanted to participate, where they were never even asked if they wanted to play by those same rules. I mean, this is serious stuff. And it's something that, you know, is not really talked about often, but it's a daily reality. The sun goes up, the sun goes down. You see the moon, you see the stars. But one thing stays the same every day, that as time rolls on, the machines keep turning, the wheels keep turning, the destruction keeps going on, and we wake up every day and I hop in my car, gas guzzling car, breaking down my car, taking people for rides and driving down these long roads and seeing people look for solace in a few hours at a bar on Friday or Saturday night before they go back to their dreadful job. You know, I even had a few people in my Uber who were talking about like how, you know, it's you know, pretty normal for people to joke, but I don't know how much of a joke it is, but you know, to jokingly say, oh, like they want to commit suicide while they're, you know, at their job. And I know people do say that jokingly a lot, like, oh, I'm going to kill myself or things like that. But it's time that we actually have it's not even time for the conversation. I mean, I think the conversation's been way overdue. I mean, it's time for the actual change. You know what I'm saying? It's time for the revolution where we are not even a part of this. You know, it's like, and none of those fake shits like the American Revolution that was all coordinated and all these other fake wars that are conjured up by those in control and the elites. Like, this is the true thing that people have. And it's really sad for me to look out into the world and realize, like, there are some people that are just helpless. And I know I'm in a position where I have my voice, I have YouTube, and even though by even using YouTube, I'm contributing to a system, I'm contributing to a world where I'm continuing to destroy this planet, I've almost come to the acceptance that it's like, what else can we do as slaves, right? It's kind of like a slave being like, okay, like, well, how do we get off this plantation? And, you know, in order to like communicate with all the other slaves, it's like they have to whip somebody else, you know? It's like it's like I'm damaging communities. I'm hurting the communities every second I record this video. You know, the price is going up for electronics, and somebody else is having their arm taken off because they're working in mines and, you know, in pits in Angola, or, you know, they're doing treacherous work in Indonesia, or people are being severely underpaid and poor in food. And while all this is going on, you have swindlers and people that are taking advantage of the system where, you know, they're using people's emotions and empathy to take advantage of them, and showing false stories of people. You know, I saw this ad today where it was like, oh, donate to, this charity, and we're going to provide a box of food for this person in need. And they were showing like this person crying, and their house where it was like all dirty and dirty pots and pans. And I was just like, I can tell this is fake. This is all stage. Like, there is just a certain knowing that I have and that I know you have, where you just see through it all. You see through the bullshit. You see it's not worth it anymore. And that's where I'm just like, wow. It's like I'm in the middle of the ocean. You're like, you could swim to shore and, become a really good slave, or you could decide we're gonna start a whole new island or something. I don't know what the best analogy is, but that's how I feel. Not motivated, and yeah, I plan to leave. Originally, I made that song, in my video yesterday, where I was saying that I was gonna 8/18, August 18th was the day that I leave, but I pushed it back a week to 8/25, which is oddly enough the day that I was going to leave for school / the day that I was planning to be my last day anyway. So I guess things always work out, and I do believe in fate in a way. I do think that I just have to continue following where my God leads me to. And I made this song called "What Is Life," and it's a really interesting line that I have in this song that I got from KRS-One, where he's like, or the line that I say is like, but I got it from him. It was like, you really think you're in control, but tell me what you'll think in 5 minutes, right? Like, tell me what you'll think at 12 o'clock tomorrow. Tell me what you'll be thinking about. And you just can't, you're not in control. That's the thing. We are not in control, but this is also what I read in that article that was talking about like the Illuminati symbolism and all that with the images. It was like, there's, I forgot what the word is, but there's like, intuitive, like, free flowing things. And then there's like control, but instead of control, they use the word like, it was something like a synonym for planning, or like, I can't really remember, but it was pretty much the dichotomy between, you can either try to control and plan everything, or kind of flow with the way of natural things are. And the way that we have all become slaves is because we've all, I think it was intention. I think they use the word intention. You intend to do something. So it's like we're living in this world of intentions and these plans that we create and things that we want to work out. Wow, that is what's keeping us in this kind of perpetual slavery, this day in, day out. Because I'm making these goals. I'm writing them down, and I'm like, I literally wrote down on my sheet. I was like, what do I want to achieve before I die? Like, if I knew that I was gonna die next week, if I knew that I was gonna die next year, like, what would I want to make sure that I left here for everybody else? And I don't even know if that's the right question to ask. Like, it might be a stupid question. It might be something where I reincarnate and or my soul goes to another body, or my spirit goes somewhere, because what is life? There are questions that we just don't have answered. And I'm sitting here talking to a robot, looking into the eye of a camera that is reproducing digital images and zeros and ones on your screen. While I'm real, my skin is real, and I feel my skin is as real as you can say, right? I mean, with just electrons and matter flowing and constantly moving, and as my hair is constantly growing every second, but you can't see it. Yeah, I just kind of got into a ramble there, but it's all connected. It's all connected. So thanks for letting me talk to you, and let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about this conversation, what you think about motivation right now in the state of the world, and how you're kind of coping with that. Because I know you feel the same if you're watching this much at this point. And there has to be I'm a doer, right? I'm an entrepreneur. Like I've done entrepreneurship my whole life. Like there's something that we got to do. Like that's what I'm being called to. It's like we can't keep doing the same thing expecting different results. I can't keep spending the thing at the lottery, being like, okay, no, this time I'm gonna get the, no, this time I'm gonna get the, and then walk out the casino with no money, right? Let's stop. Let's keep the money that we have, and be smart with how we invest our energy, how we invest our time. Because if we actually come together, y'all, like seeing what happened with the shortage of GameStop is like just a fraction of what people can do. Just a fraction. Because it's all a fucking ruse. It's all an illusion of a system that keeps all of us enslaved. And if we just use a fraction of that power, just a fraction, if we just wake up even a fraction, if we just crack open one eye, you don't have to be all the way awake, just crack open an eye. It's over. We're free. We're free. We're free to live and roam on this planet as we please. And we're no longer scared by these false narratives of fear and somebody's going to be coming to kill you and all these other things and mental health and all this shit that's caused by the terrible ass society that we live in now. So I'll leave it at that. Hopefully, actually, I don't really have any hopes. That's where we are. So, thanks for watching. So many kisses, so many hugs. I wish like we weren't on video. You know, I could just hug you and kiss you. I just love everybody so much, and I just see it so clearly. We're so close. I can just taste it. Okay. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.